Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Building a Dream. In this podcast, I'm exploring the personal stories of 12 Dutch tech titans who relentlessly scale their tech businesses. My name is Leopold and I'm the host of this podcast. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Daniel Duivestein, who is the founder of GoPhoto. He has an incredible journey of turning a one-man paparazzi business into a very successful, fast-growing SaaS company, supplying a state-of-the-art attraction photography platform that sells millions of photos in the USA every year. The COVID crisis nearly killed his business, but he came back stronger than ever. He's an absolute challenger of established companies like Kodak and PomPom, and he just closed a massive investment and joint venture deal with one of the top 5 USA-based entertainment companies. Apart from that, he's a proud daddy of 2 young children and the partner of a very ambitious woman. Today, he will share all his highlights, failures, and lessons with us. So, welcome, Daniel. How are you this morning?
Thank you, Leo, for this incredible introduction.
Yeah, was it a proper introduction, or how would you like to introduce yourself?
A little bit more humble than this, but I'm thankful that you see it that way.
All right, great. So, before we start, I'd like to propose you a couple dilemmas so our listeners get a quick insight in your style and personality. So, Daniel, happy clients or happy employees?
Happy employees, of course. In the end, I think you need to focus on both. But with a good team, the happy clients will follow by itself. So I think your team is the number one. You should always stick as a leader behind your team, and then the clients will follow.
Detailed plan or improvisation?
Improvisation, for sure.
Organized or chaotic?
Chaotic.
Team player or loner?
Team player.
Would you rather be poor but respected, or filthy rich but with a bad reputation?
Poor and respected.
Easily distracted or hyper-focused?
Easily distracted.
Competing with someone or with yourself?
With myself.
The USA or the Netherlands?
USA.
10 million on the bank and an 80-hour work week? Or no business success, but full-time available for your kids?
Full-time available for my kids.
All right. Would you rather donate money to a charity helping animals or a charity curing a disease?
Ooh, hard one. Disease, I think.
No climate change or no anti-Semitism?
Well, I was raised in an environment where anti-Semitism was a big topic. But I think we can live respectful among each other. Climate change is irrevocable. So I'll go a hard one. I will go for climate change then.
All right. Have you ever had any anti-Semitic behavior when doing business?
No, not doing business. Of course, when they know you're Jewish and you're trying to get to a deal, and of course, you're gonna put your foot down. And sometimes they joke about, that's a real Jew thing to do, to get the most out of the deal. I don't think it's anti-Semitism, but they do make those kind of remarks, which I don't really mind.
Has being Jewish also helped you in a positive way doing business, maybe?
Absolutely. In the end, the Jewish community is always very open, for doing business together. To introduce to one each other. So I think that definitely helped me with getting into contact with entrepreneurs when I was still starting my own business. My mentor was someone from the Jewish community that learned me, how to run my first business. So I think it definitely helped.
All right, Daniel. In what kind of environment did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in a very nice environment. I always, got everything that I needed when I grew up. My dad was an entrepreneur. He was a self-made man. He ran his own business. He started really small. He had a telecom company, first selling phones, and later on anything that had to do with telecom. And he was always in search of new products to bring to Europe from Asia. And he was also the first one that introduced the cordless phone here in the Netherlands. That really took a flight when that happened. So we did see the struggle when we were younger from a early entrepreneur that my dad was then. But we also, when I started, I think high school, so around 13 years, the company of my dad took an enormous flight. So we also saw the other side of, being successful.
Was he hard for you?
Yes. He wouldn't allow us to any pocket money. He always told us, everything you earn, I'll double. So just let me know what you earned,
all right,
and I'll double it.
And what was your first job?
Delivering newspapers. I started that very young. I actually had 2 of them, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. And it was a good job. I liked it.
All right. And why did you become paparazzi later?
Ooh, the word paparazzi is a little bit of a negative vibe, maybe. I like to call it the showbiz photographer. It's actually a very long story, but I'll try to cut it short. When I was doing my studies, media and communication, I had to do an intern. And I got to work with Sanoma, a really big publisher with a lot of different titles. And when I started working there for a men's magazine, writing, I got introduced later on for filming, making little videos for the online platform of a showbiz magazine. And that's what I started to do. And at some point when I made a little video of a scoop, there was a couple that wasn't known to the public yet, 2 famous celebrities here in the Netherlands. They took stills from the video and published them in the magazine. And then they told me what I could invoice for those stills. And then I was, why am I videoing this when I could make stills and make about 10 times the amount that I make with that little video? So that
at what age was that?
23, yeah. So at that point, I bought a camera, put the video recorder aside, and started to take photos of celebrities.
It must have been excited times.
Yes, of course. You're still studying. So this was after my internship. I sticked with Sanoma magazines, working for different magazines, titles there. But yeah, as soon as you then start earning money, especially next to your study. That feels good. You got your own little business going on. You make your own times. You meet a lot of nice people. It's exciting.
And how did you invest that first money? In a smart way?
No, I think when I made my first real money, I shot an international celebrity that was topless, and that photo actually made me a lot of money, and I didn't invest it in a good way. No.
What did you do with that?
I went to the car dealer and bought a BMW X5 and then went to another car dealer and blacked everything out. The rims, the windows, everything that was chrome. So definitely not a smart investment. But when you're 25 and make your first money, then you do that. But that's something I would definitely advise not to do when you're a young entrepreneur, because that was not a good investment in the end.
But you probably felt great after that.
Of course, but it's a very temporary feeling of greatness, maybe. But I think it's with all physical things that you buy in life.
Well, what drove you to do business, and why didn't you, for example, pick corporate life? Because a lot of your friends, people around you, have these corporate careers. So why did you want to start something for yourself?
Like I said earlier, my dad started his own business. He actually told us when we were young that working for a boss is failure. So if you grew up that way, then it's really hard to look at a corporate life in a way that that it's success. Building your own business. He did push us to work at companies, watching their kitchen, what they're doing, see how they're cooking, but learn from it and take all that and see how you can do better within your own company. There are a lot of takeaways when you work for a boss, but it's not the end goal. And that's what he learned us.
So it was mostly the pressure or your education that actually made it a no-brainer for you to search for a business, any type of business?
Well, I think in the end, education is also a big thing here. I'm not a good learner. I did study, but was more necessity to leave the house and do something after my high school. But I'm not someone that's really good in studying. I also don't like, the whole hierarchy within this big corporates. You start at the bottom, work 80 hours a week for a boss, and the only thing you're wanting is, for the week to be gone, and weekends and everything else. Of course, people get a lot of high from that type of work as well. But creating your own business, creating your own product, for me is more valuable than a big salary.
Was it also always your dream to have your own business, or was it your father's dream that you are living right now?
No, I think it was my own dream. Absolutely. We learned from a young age that making something yourself and to introduce that to the world. If you see that high happening, even if it's not my product, when my dad build his own phones in Asia, would import them to Europe and then sell them, and we would see those phones sitting on tables and in houses of friends that we were visiting. Then you feel some type of pride. People. Then can actually say to people, "You see that phone over there? That's my father's company that thought of the design and all the electrics around it and built that in Asia, imported it, and now it's here sitting on your table. You're using it every day." And that sense of pride that I already felt with the product that my dad and his team created. Of course, if you do it for yourself with your team, then obviously the pride and the satisfaction from that is a lot bigger.
At some point you founded GoPhoto. And what is the problem that GoPhoto solves?
We provide a hardware and software system for the entertainment industry, theme parks, attractions. And the problem that we solve is that traditional companies in our field, most of the time, they also operate the systems. So when you go to a theme park and a photo is taken and then sold to you, the whole technology and everything else is not owned by the park. It's an outside vendor that's standing there. It's also their staff. And they take a big chunk of the revenue and profit from the theme park. This is a really traditional way it always has been, because it's a hard system to maintain. And with GoPhoto, we created a platform that we bring the power to the theme parks and attractions themselves. It's a super easy way to operate, shoot, share, and sell photos within your park or attraction, giving the power to the attractions instead of letting in an outside vendor.
So in the dilemmas, you answered that you actually improvise a lot. So did you have a plan, or did you just drift it in this direction?
No, I think everything in my career is drifting all the way up to this point. After my showbiz photography career, I really liked the event side of it, going to these events, photograph visitors that were attending those events. So at some point, I didn't feel like being a showbiz photographer anymore. It was nice for a few years to do so, but then I switched to event photography. And when I was taking photos at these events, a lot of people would ask me, "Hey, where can I see that photo?" And then we didn't have Facebook back then. So I would build little online photo galleries and then give a card to visitors, and then we put the photos directly after the event online. And when they would visit with this little card, this photo website, they could see their photos and download it from there. So this is a little bit how it started. The whole company and the whole concept of sharing photos instantly or as fast as possible with someone.
All right. So how did you get your first clients for this new product?
The first clients were directly also big clients. I had contacts within companies like Coca Cola and Heineken, and also in the event industry. And I thought of taking photos at big festivals, put the brand on it, and then directly share it with the visitors, so they could share it again with friends and family, and also the first social media platforms were coming up. It would give a lot of exposure to those brands. So I went just to the big brands and told them, hey, I can create a really easy way to put out your name during those events, interact with visitors, and then also create content that they will then share with the world. And the first clients that we got on board were actually Coca Cola and Heineken. So that was a good start.
And did that work well, that business model?
In the beginning, it did, but it's not really scalable. Events are short term. And so you would do maybe 4, 5, 6 events during the summertime for one brand. And they don't do long-term contracts because activations and marketing, they're always searching for the next best thing that's out there. So you do 6 events and then a year after or 6 months after, when there's a new activation program coming up, you again have to pitch and you have to again come up with new creative ideas. And our strength was more the technology of putting photos as fast as possible, in the pockets of the visitors, and not the creative part.
So you pivoted to the entertainment industry.
Yeah, so we got the opportunity to deliver our system to a observation tower, Adam Lookout here in Amsterdam, and that was the first big attraction that we integrated a system where we would take photos 7 days a week, 12 hours per day of all visitors that were coming in. And quickly we saw that it's a very challenging way of taking photos because you need to provide all those visitors all these photos 7 days a week, 12 hours per day. So it was a big challenge, to make your software really stable to handle those amounts. But then the strength, behind me and also the team came forward because building a stable product was more what we're doing at that point. So we pivoted to that industry and fully focused on, hey, how can we build a system that's super easy to operate and can handle those amount of visitors every day, all day long.
Sounds like a typical entrepreneurial journey. A famous quote by Andy Grove says, "Bad companies are destroyed by crisis, and good companies survive them. Great companies are improved by them." What have been the toughest challenges that you experienced along the way?
Oh, there are many. I think obviously COVID in our industry was a big hit, and not in a good way.
What did that mean for your industry?
Well, actually, the visitors went from a lot to zero overnight.
All the locations
were closed. We saw it happening. We had already a location in Asia that closed. They were calling us, hey, we're closing. And then we thought, that's in Asia, but we still have locations here in Europe as well and in the US. So we're fine. But then obviously COVID came fast as well. So within 2 months, all the locations closed. And obviously, our business model is around, what visitors buy at the location. We get royalties from that. So
how much revenue did you lose that period?
I think we went from over $1 million in revenue to literally zero overnight.
So how did you survive all those years being so terribly bootstrapped?
Well, I think in the end, back then, I couldn't see that it actually helped us build a better company. To be honest, I felt really down. It was a really hard period because you have to let people go. You see so much work in front of you that feels like you did it for nothing, and you feel helpless. So it took about 2-3 months, and then we recouped as a team, and we went back to the drawing board. Because actually, when you build a SaaS company, your foundation, you start building your technology on top of that. And at some point, you think, hey, maybe we should have started at the beginning building this in a different way. But because there are so many running clients already hooked up to that platform, you cannot overnight then change parts of your foundation because it would mean a lot of downtime, which is a no-go in our industry. So we thought, okay, hey, what if we would build the same company again would it look like, what we have right now? Should have we done stuff differently? And then we went back to the drawing board, and actually it felt really good. We bootstrapped, but it felt like a startup again.
And were you confident that you would come out of this more successful?
Yes, at some point I was, because you have to have that spirit of, hey, I want to be at the starting line, not wounded and all beaten down. I want to be there, feel stronger, better, and show the world that once everything gets back up and running, that we've been doing our thing, and show them, hey, we can do this, and we're the best. So that felt really good.
And how bad did it get for you personally, that period? Like, were you still able to get like a salary out of it?
No, 10 months long I didn't. Of course, at this point you try to keep your team as long on board as possible. So if you have the opportunity as a leader, then I think the first thing you have to do is to cut your own salary, and make sure that the team around you sticks with you. And that's what we did. And I had the luck that I could do that. Not everyone could do that. So for me, I saved some money. I had friends and family around me that supported me. My girlfriend has a really good job that went really well also during COVID. So she maintained a big part of what we needed to do every month. Mm-hmm. So that was that gave me the room actually to keep on building the platform and keep the people on board that I needed to get where we wanted to go.
And how did you keep your team motivated in that period? Because it was like a very insecure period actually for everyone.
Absolutely. I think the biggest motivation here is that we started reaching out to clients that would probably never pick up their phone if it wasn't for COVID. Suddenly everyone was free. Everyone was open to discuss anything. Normally, big companies would hang up the phone and say, sorry, we already have an operator, we already have a supplier, we're not interested to talk. But at that point, everyone was free all day, trying to, get their business, keep their business together, and also open for new ideas. And we shared that with the team. We shared the discussions we had with new big clients, and also telling the team, hey guys, if we keep building what we're building right now, then we will come back stronger and we will have a better product.
Yeah, and that happened actually, right? So after COVID, you told me that your company really skyrocketed. So what made GoPhoto so successful then? What is the secret to your success?
I think the biggest difference of what we are doing right now compared to what we did before COVID, there are two things. One is we created our own hardware. Before we were a tech company only building software and using market available hardware, computers, cameras, stuff like that. And we found out that's not really scalable. Your software is scalable, but because it's running on so many different devices, the hardware is not scalable. And the hardware is a really big part of our system. You need to make the photo, and you need to print the photo. People need to select their photos on screens and need to pay for them with payment terminals. So I think pivoting from being a SaaS company, focusing only on technology and adding hardware to build our own ecosystem, that really made a big difference. And also one of the feedback that we got from everyone that we were talking to is like, after COVID, we will have a real struggle to get everything back up and running because we have limited people working and we cannot scale our teams. Mm-hmm. So we started focusing on making the system as seamless as possible with as less human interaction as possible. Mm-hmm. So I think those two things really benefit our comeback.
And are you obsessed with your product?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you would ask maybe a little bit too much, people can say 100 positive things about it, and I feel good about it. And one person says something negative or gives feedback, I immediately feel the urge to go back to the drawing board to see why does he feel that way? Why does he think that way? How could I change that product to make it better. Or when I see a customer buying a photo that says, "Hey, it wasn't clear to me. Why wasn't it clear to him?" And I'm more focused on that one person that has that negative interaction compared to the 999 people around that person that have positive interaction. So, yeah, product driven for sure.
So that actually sounds that you're more like a product owner type instead of a CEO. So is that also your biggest strength?
And also my biggest weakness, because as a business owner, you are really forced sometimes in a CEO role, which is hard for me at least. But yeah, for sure, I like the product side a lot more than anything else. I like the commercial part of it, selling the product, putting it out there, tell people about it. But working with the team, creating that product, even installing our product in attractions and theme parks around the world, it brings the most joy to me.
And at some point you decided to stop focusing on the Netherlands and Europe and move to the USA. And that's actually a big step, and I see many companies failing doing that. What was your motivation behind this?
It's the American dream. Of course, the entertainment industry in the US is huge. They have, I think, 70% of all attractions and theme park visitors are focused in the US, followed by Asia, Australia, and then Europe. So we're actually one of the smallest Western markets that there is. Yeah, if you make it in the US, you can make it everywhere. That's how I always see it and I saw it. And entering the US market is a really hard thing to do. So as soon as you get that chance, then you go for that opportunity.
So it's also a personal dream. It's not just the market opportunity. It's not just that you saw that the market there is way bigger and therefore the chances of success are higher. Is it also like you personally just want to make it in the US?
Yeah. The US is in some way a benchmark, of course, especially in the entertainment industry. The Disney parks, and the end goal is Disney.
Yeah,
they're the biggest park. Tens of millions of visitors going each year to that park, having a magical time, and capturing those visitors' photos and supplying them to them. That will last for decades and decades. People will be remembered when watching those photos long, after they're gone. To provide a system and a technology behind that to capture those moments, those magical moments, that in the end is the end goal.
So what was your journey to actually get into that market?
Actually, there were two moments that actually changed the course of our focus. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like I said, COVID brought us a whole new perspective of what we wanted to do with the product. So one of the things that we started to do is make self-order kiosks. So people can actually go to an order kiosk to select their photos and purchase them without an employee standing there. We didn't have that kiosk yet, but we had the designs, and we thought, just put it on a website and we'll build it. Mm-hmm. But let's put it on a website and see if there's any interest in the market. And then a big attraction in the US actually were Googling self-order kiosk photo, and they typed it in Google and they landed on our website. And then they reached out to us and said, hey, we got the task of going into the market and find self-order systems for food and beverage, ticketing, photos, because after COVID, employees will be hard to get, will be very expensive. We need to cut cost. So we're looking for more self-order systems. I see you provide them for photos. Can you explain me more about that? And this was actually a large US attraction. Mm-hmm. And obviously, at that point, you see the opening.
Yeah, but getting attention from the US is something different than actually signing a contract with them. So was that any different than having a customer in the Netherlands or in Europe?
Yes, of course. The US, they're big companies. They don't trial. The biggest difference in the Netherlands versus the US is in the Netherlands, we say, okay, let's start a partnership. We try it out for 3 months and then we see if that's okay. So you get really quick from starting a discussion to your deal and then a trial period. And in the US, it's the other way around. They will first try you out and you need to visit them. You need to convince them. And it takes a year before you land that deal. But once they are convinced that you are the one that they want, they'll go for it. No, the other way around. They trial you before they actually sign a deal, and that's, I think, the biggest difference.
Right. And now I think we are about like 2 years after COVID, and you're 2 years operating in the US, and you already managed to secure funding from one of the top 5 players in the entertainment industry. How did you achieve that?
By talking about your dreams and your goals. I think that's the most important thing. You always have to be open of, where you want to be in 5 or 10 years. The opportunities, they don't come, by themselves. You always have to be open to receive them, but you also need to put the word out. And when we started discussing with the attractions to integrate our system in the US, they said, okay, but, are you able to maintain the system in the US? Because you're a Dutch company. Will you be still around in 2 or 3 years as a Dutch company? Because we're going to invest a lot of time and effort to bring your product into our attractions. How sure are you that you will be still around? And then I told them about that I have to focus on the US and that actually our main goal is to be big in the US and everything else. And at that part we started talking about, scaling in the US and everything else. And the discussion went in a different direction.
And were you looking for a financial investor or a strategic investor, or maybe you didn't actually have a plan? So
no, we didn't actually have a plan, but I knew for sure that financial injection wouldn't cut the deal. You need a strategic partner in the US to grow there. It's a different market. It's a different way of doing business, and the US is big. So you can make it in New York, but it doesn't say anything. So you need a company that actually knows all those markets within the US, that already has an established name as well, that will gain trust. So a strategic partner is probably more valuable than any cash injection that you can get.
And what's your process actually for making such risky decisions? How do you approach this?
Pray. No, I think, of course, you need to make big decisions, but I think a lot goes towards how you feel about it. Your gut feeling is something you always need to trust. If something feels off, don't do it. Even if it's a lot of money, don't do it. It's your gut will tell you where to go, and I always believe that. And in this case, this particular company is not only a really good client, they have amazing attractions, amazing people working there. You can see that by the fact that every person that you talk to within that company is already working there for 8 years, 10 years, 17 years. We had a dinner with them, and then you see that people are so dedicated to be with a company and work for them, that you know they're a good partner as well.
Yeah, well, that must give you a lot of energy and confidence, I guess. And what are your customers you most grateful for?
I think the biggest compliment I always get is that I'm really involved. We're hardworking, and I think that's a really important thing. You really have to focus on your client, what they need, listen to them, and take them very serious. I think if you do that, then you get really happy clients.
So Daniel, what has your company given you?
Well, it gave me all ends of the spectrum, the biggest highs and the lowest lows. The lowest lows, obviously, during the COVID time, feeling that everything slips away. The highest high that, something you dream of is actually becoming reality. I think those ends of the spectrum is, what I live for. My life motto is also, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So I'm always searching for, what's next, and the lowest lows will also is also your comfort zone, but it's out the downside of your comfort zone. But it also triggers you again to think about things in a different way. Mm-hmm. And when you're in the other end of the spectrum, it goes the same way. So I think that's what the company really brings.
And what has been your favorite moment in the company's growth?
I think scaling the team. We've been working really hard with a really small team to get where we are, but building a team and getting all these different disciplines on board, experienced people with great knowledge that add to your product. Actually, that's something that's very enjoyable and very nice to watch, and also makes you more evolved with everything, but also gives you more room to actually work with your product instead of doing your own accountancy on a Friday afternoon, booking the invoices, or you can actually outsource the things that you're not good at and give them to someone that actually brings their expertise and their knowledge to the table and make it bigger and better.
Yeah. And do you have a mentor, or did you ever get like life-changing advice?
Well, of course, my dad. I think he will always be my biggest mentor in everything. I think the life-changing advice is not an advice he gave me. It's something he said to me that always that still sticks to me. And it was, I think we were talking late night, and at some point he teared up a little bit. We were talking about success, and he teared up a little bit, and he said, well, with all the money that I made in my life, the only thing I cannot buy back is the time that I missed with you guys. And I think that it was something that was that touched me really hard and really sticks to me till this day, because I have kids myself. And time is something, it goes by and you cannot get it back. And I think that's the advice everyone should actually, put in their head, because it's the most valuable thing that there is in life.
Yeah, I can see it still touches you, actually. So what is your personal definition of success?
I think it's around the same topic, buying time. If people say, what would you buy now with your money? It's not the BMW that I bought with my first money. It's time. It's I would not buy a sports car, a two-seater. I will buy a family car, and for the money that I then save, I will probably get a driver so I can video call during those hours that I'm in the car with my kids, or work, so I can be more involved at home when I get there. So if you have the opportunity to buy time, not clean your own apartment, not drive your own car, all stuff like that, and invest that time in family and friends that you then gain, I think then you're really rich.
And your definition of success for GoPhoto, your company, when would you be happy?
I will be happy if it's if GoPhoto is the benchmark in the industry. I think this is something that we try to aim for. We should be challenging all the other companies to be as good as us. I think then we are where we need to be.
So how many years do you give yourself to achieve that?
Oof, I didn't think about that, but 5, maybe 10 max.
And have you given up on any other dreams to pursue this?
No, I don't think I gave up other dreams. I'm always someone that lives in the moment. Don't plan too far ahead, which is also sometimes a weakness. But no, I didn't give anything up to get to where I am. I think the most important thing that I always try to remember is that the time that's in the past is in the past. You always need to look forward. So, if you have the feeling you gave up on something, then you need to create something new in the future that you can work towards to and focus on that.
Yeah, and I think your journey is an absolute roller coaster. But is your work-life balance still okay for you, or do you feel the same as your father maybe felt?
No, I think I'm more invested in my family than my father was. I think also with the nowadays technology, video calling, you can still be more in touch with the family even when you're on the road. So that's a big difference, of course. Also, traveling is faster. The world has become really smaller in that sense. But I do try to spend more time in the weekends and be there and present when I'm at home, which is still a challenge because you're building a company. So, of course, when 5 minutes before you leave, you get a phone call that's not so nice, you bring that energy into your home. But you really need to be focused on getting rid of that, because in 2 hours the kids will be in bed and you can go back to that problem.
Yeah. And what part of parenthood would you say influences your style as a CEO? Did you get milder?
Yes, of course. I think every dad gets milder. You understand that every person has his own needs and his own way of doing. And with kids, you understand it even better. And you need to work around that. You need to work with that. And as soon as you understand what they need and to really listen, although it's sometimes hard to understand them, then you see that they actually also are easier to get around with, and also they grow faster. So I think that that's something that you learn as a parent.
Yeah. And if you didn't have GoPhoto in your life right now, what would you be doing?
Fishing? No. Probably traveling the world. Yeah, absolutely.
And would you start this company again?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's like I said, we measure our success not only by profits, but by smiles that we capture. And this is something, we build a tech company, but what we're actually doing is we are just capturing those magical moments that people have at those attractions and theme parks. And that's something that is more important than anything else. Obviously, making a lot of profit for our clients is also a really big pillar. Otherwise, we cannot grow. But in the end, seeing all those smiles and all those people printing those photos, which nowadays is not a very common thing to see. But if you see that there are thousands of photos printed every weekend, at different locations, then that brings a lot of joy.
That sounds like a great sales pitch, man, but I believe you. Unfortunately, I don't have an attraction, so I can't buy it. But you are 41 years old right now? And what will you be doing when you're 50?
Well, I definitely want to be, at that point, more focusing on the product side of GoPhoto and not being, really in the scaling mode anymore. At some point, I want to be still involved with, the technology and involving the platform. But I hope in 9 years' time, I don't need to be in the day-to-day operation anymore.
Of course, along the way, you probably also make some mistakes. So maybe you would like to share your 3 biggest fuck-ups with us.
Buy a BMW with your first money instead of investing it. I think investing money as soon as you earn it is one of the mistakes everyone makes. If you make your first money, the people that find a way to directly divert their money into an investment plan or buying bricks or something else, it will give you a foundation personally. And I think that's a mistake that I always that I made. I made a lot of money in the beginning, but I spent it all. So as soon as there were times that it wasn't going as good as I wanted to go, then you feel a lot of stress and a lot of pressure because it also hits you personally. Am I still able to live here in this house in 4 or 5 months if I'm going in this direction?
So you didn't create any buffers?
No. And I think now I did, but of course COVID came, and then you see that how important it is that you have something like that, because otherwise you cannot go on with the same motivation.
All right, makes sense. And anything else?
I think failure is part of becoming good in what you do. I don't trust business people that never went bankrupt, because every real entrepreneur went bankrupt with one of his companies at some point. And if you are that one-hit wonder, then I don't trust you, because I don't know. That's something. Failure is part of that process of becoming successful. So I don't see failure as something that's wrong. So it's also hard to remember what are the real failures.
All right. So to conclude this episode today, Daniel, what would be your best advice to our listeners who are also scaling their company?
Best advice: patience. Have patience. It's a really long way to go. Sometimes people focus more on the investment, and then they move completely away from their product or where it's actually all about. Be patient. Things take time. I'm also not really patient person, but you learn. Your time will come, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for sharing your pretty amazing journey here. In my opinion, Daniel is one of the greatest examples of an entrepreneur with a very clear vision and amazing focus on his product, who just kept removing all obstacles in the user experience until he finally found a full product market fit. I can only praise his 9-year-long persistence here, especially in those extremely difficult years that are past us. In the next episode, I'll have a new inspiring guest from the SaaS industry, so I hope all of you will tune in again. Thank you for listening and have a great day.